by Matthew Whitmer. It's in his book, Becoming Worldly Saints. Okay, and he says, where it reminds us that God's future plan is not destruction but restoration. That's the very essence of what he's about to say. He says this: God did not say, "I am making new everything," but rather, "I am making everything new." This comes from Revelation 21:22. He does not promise to make new things to furnish the new earth, but to renew the things that are already here. Okay? So remember, this is our third talk on heaven, or what I'm saying is, when we think of the afterlife, we think of, again, it's just this Western concept as far as, ghosts, in the air and all that. But again, it really destroys the concept of what the Bible teaches of as far as a continuation of this life, right? Because I think in our culture, it's like, this earth is bad, this earth is evil. It is, it's fallen, but there's elements of goodness in it, right?
It's like what makes it bad is the sin, but it doesn't make the dirt bad.
And that's what I'm saying. So again, I'm going to read you a quote by C.S. Lewis in a bit, but we over spiritualize the afterlife, and again, it's based upon this concept as far as Dante's Inferno, images of the Renaissance of like Cupid, and like again, this is art, but we've kind of taken that and we really believed it as a church. It's true, right? Sometimes when you think of the afterlife, it's a continuation as far as what is here. Okay, so remember, God's plan is not destruction but restoration, meaning that when we talk about the new heaven and the new earth of Revelation 21, it's not saying he's going to destroy this planet and then create a brand new one, but it's rather he will take what's here and renew it. You see? So it's kind of like Zerubbabel's temple, the second temple in Israel. And instead of wiping it away, Herod came in and he rebuilt it, but he made it significantly more great. Same spot, same location, but he just made it significantly better. So think of the new earth like that, okay? So instead of destruction, there's restoration. And now what we're going to talk about, I don't think we'll finish it today, but we're going to talk about things in the new heaven or the new earth, in particular, that are restored, okay? That are restored, and this can answer a lot of our questions about the new earth as specifics. And again, there's a lot of unknowns, but remember, when it says the new heavens and the new earth, we're going to talk about the new earth today and maybe next week. But why do you think the book of Revelation says the new heavens?
Because the heavens have been soiled with the rebellion.
Boom. Before the earth, before the fall here on earth, there was a fall already in heaven. Right? And we know there was a fall in heaven because in Genesis chapter 3 we have the serpent. You see? So again, before there was a fall in earth, there was already a fall in heaven. Okay, and we know from Job chapter 1. By the way, I'm thinking after we study the afterlife, we'll do Ezra, Nehemiah, and then we'll do Job. if you're okay with that. Like that, it's literature. It's
At some
wisdom.
point, can we do Ezekiel? I can't think of it now.
Esther?
No, it starts with an E.
Ezekiel?
It's maybe it's Ezekiel.
Ezekiel's like
No,
Pro-
it's New Testament.
Ephesians?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts.
Ephesians the only E.
Ephesians.
You want to do Ephesians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually.
Okay, yeah.
I like
Next
that
year.
one.
I don't know.
Okay.
Next year.
Ezekiel.
As long as we don't.
What's that?
As long as we don't do any more hot topics.
No. But again, I say Job because Job chapter 1, Job is the earliest book in the Bible, okay, as far as the timing of it. But you hear of this encounter of Satan or Satan and God as far as their interaction. So this happened really early on, but again, it was before the human. So when God is saying he's going to restore the heavens and the earth, it's a restoration of everything. Okay, so removal of the fallen angels, the removal of demons. Okay, but our focus will be about the new earth. Okay, so what will be restored, what will be renewed in the new earth. The first is a renewed physical world. Okay, and this is something that's obvious because we've talked about it many times, but again, I want to read to you a quote by C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity. And again, listen to what C.S. Lewis has to say. There is no use trying to be more spiritual than God. Okay, again, this is C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity. God never meant man to be purely spiritual, purely spiritual creature. Okay, that is why he uses material things like bread and wine to put new life into us. We may think this rather crude and is unspiritual. God doesn't. He invented eating. Okay, he likes matter. He invented it. I know some mumble-headed Christians. Again, this is not me. This is C.S. Lewis, who have talked as if Christianity taught that sex or the body or pleasure were bad in and of themselves. But they are wrong. Christianity is almost the only one of the great religions in which thoroughly approves of the body, which believes that matter is good, that God himself, one, took on a human body, and that some kind of body is going to be given to us even in heaven, or the new earth is what we're going to talk about, and is going to be an essential part of our happiness, our beauty, and our energy. C.S. Lewis. And he's right, in the sense that sometimes that us as Christians, we're more spiritual than God is, because we have this like unknown concept as far as the afterlife, right? But again, what C.S. Lewis is saying is like, matter is a good thing. Okay, this concept as far as the physical being bad, it came from Plato. Okay, so Plato is the most influential philosopher that was here before Christ, and Platonism, which we call it, is that matter is bad, and when you die, it's purely your spirit. Okay, this is Greek philosophy back with our friend Alexander the Great. You know what I mean? Because Plato and then Socrates and Aristotle, right? So again, there was that influence, but again, eventually, if you've read the book of 1 John, you hear this belief called Gnosticism. Okay, and Gnosticism was the same concept: was anything physical is bad. That's why John, when he's writing 1 John, hey Nate, he's saying over and over and over, we touched him, we saw him, we felt him, right? Even that photo I sent you guys of doubting Thomas, he's touching him, right? Because that was the concept that anything physical is bad. So for us as Christians, it's the same thing. It's like when we go into heaven, we're just spirit. But again, back to what C.S. Lewis is saying, a lot of Christians think that they're more spiritual than God is, right? Again, we overcomplicate things, okay? So last week we talked about the new earth and descriptions of the new earth. And what we talked about, the new earth is like a kingdom, a physical kingdom, okay? We talked about the new earth being a city, okay? Los Angeles, Jerusalem, Arizona. We talked about the new earth as being a home. Okay, we talked about the new earth being fourth a garden, and last we talked about the new earth being fifth a party, a place of celebration. Now, what's the commonality? All those 5 points we talked about 2 weeks ago. They're all physical in nature. Okay, we see them here on this planet here. So as a result, they're little demos as far as what heaven is to be. Okay, so we need to think exactly how Christ said is those who come into the kingdom of God, they're children. Children imagine things, right? And I think it's good for us to also imagine too, right? Not to be, based doctrine on imagination, but think within this life, these experiences that we have, sorrow, grief, rejoicing, happiness, right? But like someone at a concert, what's going on? Like Little League Baseball, football, when people cheer, like there's something going on, right? But again, these are foretastes as far as what heaven, the new earth, will be like. Okay? So, the New Jerusalem. Can someone read Revelation 21, 1 to 5? Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 to 5.
It's so weird reading Revelation again. Because it's like we went through the whole...
I know.
And now it's like, oh, just do Revelation 21.
Yep, I know.
saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there is no longer any sea. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men, and he shall dwell among them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be among them. And he shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no longer be any death. There shall no longer be any mourning, or crying, or pain, for the first things have passed away. And he who sits on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. And he said, Write, for these words are faithful and true.
Okay, so again, notice though the first photo that I sent you guys. I think I got the photo. Usually I send them in order. For some reason, the photos just got disorganized. But if you look at the first photo I sent you guys, it was a picture of the New Jerusalem on earth. Okay. Now, can someone read same chapter, Revelation 21, 15 to 27, 15 to 27. Revelation 21, 15 to 27.
And the one who spoke with me had a measuring rod of gold to measure the city and its gates and its walls. And the city lies 4 square, its length the same as its width, and he measured the city with his rod, 12,000 stadia. Its length and width and height are equal. He also measured its wall 144 cubits by human measurement, which is also an angel's measurement. The wall was built of jasper, while the city was pure gold like clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with every kind of jewel. The first was jasper, the second sapphire, the third agate, the fourth emerald, the fifth onyx, the sixth vermilion, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th cryophase,
Turquoise.
the 11th jasper, the 12th amethyst. The 12 gates were 12 pearls, each of the gates made of a single pearl, and the streets of the city was pure gold like transparent glass. And I saw a temple in the city, and I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord, the Almighty, and the Lamb, and the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives its light, and its lamp the Lamb, and its lamp is the Lamb. By its light will the nations walk, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it, and its gates will never be shut by day, and there will be no night there. They will bring into it the glory and the honor of the nations, but nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor anything who does what is detestable or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb's Book of Life.
Okay, so we'll same chapter, taking the two together. Okay, 1 to 5, 15 to 27. What does it say? When we die, do we go to heaven, or wait? Does heaven come down to earth? Heaven comes down to earth, right? Like so. The photo that I showed you guys, it's the description of what Kevin read is what 1,500 miles as a cube. Okay, so we're talking probably New York to Houston, right?
It's not that big though, to be honest. Like
no, that's just that's one city.
No, I'm just thinking of all the people like that are gonna be in heaven. It just doesn't seem like it's that. It's like there's gonna be high rises.
Yeah, but like again, look at the photo.
He's got the whole world.
Yeah, look at the photo. I say it goes up. It's a cube, right? So again, there's two photos. One is the measurements as far as how it looked like from space, but the other one is what it looks like as far as it coming down. You see? So again, the passage that Kevin read was about the New Jerusalem, not about the New Earth, just about the New Jerusalem. So again, this is all, again, when it comes to the afterlife, there's limitations, but we can speculate, right? So again, let's think out loud here, because we're talking about the New Earth and far as what it will be like. But when it comes to the New Earth, this is talking about the New Jerusalem, okay? And I'm pretty sure it's going to be in Jerusalem, right? But if there's a New Jerusalem, question is, will there be a renewed Los Angeles? Will there be a renewed New York, Rome, ancient cities, Egypt, right?
Well, I think that he gives a clue in that, like, why is he using destroyed elements from the earth? Like, if he remakes it, why is there still pearl? Why is there still precious stones?
Right.
So it's like, it's not like he got rid of his previous idea of those elements.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, why would you get rid of all the water?
Yeah.
So it's just, and then the other thing too is, why do I guess if you did something great here on earth, then it's like God allows their glory to be there in heaven too,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of weird because I feel like God has to like make sure it doesn't get out of hand, you know, where it's like, you know, where it says that the king's like glory and they'll bring it into it.
Yeah.
They will bring it into it the glory and honor of the nations. Or they will bring their glory into it. But it's just like, I don't understand why he allows them to bring their glory into it when we're lit up by the glory of God.
Well, when it says some suggest that it mentions that twice. I think it's verse 21. When they brought in their glory, that will the best products, culture of every nation be brought into the new earth. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a speculation, but again, there's certain things of other cultures that's like it's not good for humanity, but there are other things that are really good for humanity.
Mm-hmm. Like
right?
dancing.
Yeah, like certain foods.
Singing.
Right? Again, we're not being dogmatic here. We're thinking out loud. Okay, we're trying to be imaginative here. But again, I'm not saying there's going to be a renewed Los Angeles, but I'm throwing it up there. Like if there's a renewed Jerusalem, which there will be, and again, we're talking about something that's what 1,500 miles high, right? I'm just saying it's what will LA look like if there is an LA, right?
It's hard to imagine, like we're crowded now in certain cities, and so after 2,000 years, 3,000 years, we're going to be elbow to elbow, or how does it?
Right.
How do we figure out we can't all be in the New Jerusalem?
Right. I'd like to be, but but I thought of it. But like, will there be citizens of we're all here on the new earth, but like people of Jerusalem, people. I live in Los Angeles, something like that. Like again, we don't think like this because we think too spiritual, as C.S. Lewis said. Right?
Some clouds playing on.
Yeah, we're just on clouds looking at Jesus maybe for like 24/7, and there's nothing wrong with that. No. It's just again there's more human elements other than praise.
I mean, as a builder or someone that's in like construction, like if he's saying that someone's measuring the city, it's not gonna be boring, and it's like if your idea of heaven is you're sitting around, then like you don't understand like the correlation between what you did here and what you're going to do there. Yeah. And God's not going to let you sit on your butt,
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Remember, all right, so we talked about the new earth as far as there's a new Jerusalem, but my point is it's a renewed physicality. Okay, but another thing the Bible talks about as a new physicality is our bodies. And this is something we've talked about over and over and over again. 1 Corinthians 15:20, Paul says that Jesus was the first fruits of the resurrection, meaning that because he did, so will we. Because he did, so will we. Can someone read Philippians chapter 3, verse 20 to 21 out loud? Philippians 3, verse 20 to 21 out loud.
Philippians 3, what?
Philippians chapter 3, verse 20 to 21.
But our citizenship is in heaven, and from it we await a Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, who will transform our lowly body to be like his glorious body by the power that enables even him to subject all things to himself.
Okay, so Paul, what? Saying that our bodies will be renewed like what? Like his body.
Like Christ.
Okay? So again, because Christ had a physical resurrection, we will have a physical resurrection. And the thing is this, we have evidence as far as what happened to Christ when he was on this planet. Okay? Now, John chapter 21, 19 to 20, 21, and then 24 to 29 talk about the disciples were to. Do you guys want to read it? Or
Yeah, let's read it.
Okay, John chapter 20, verse 19 to 21. If you guys online want to read too, feel free. John chapter 20, verse 19 to 21.
John 19.
John chapter 20,
20.
verse 19 to 21. Just 3 verses.
You want somebody to read it?
Yeah.
No,
Or you read it?
No.
You read it.
On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together, with the doors locked for fear of the Jewish leaders, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and side. The disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Again Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you."
Okay.
And with that, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, their sins are forgiven."
21 first.
Oh, okay.
So wait. The disciples, this is after Christ died. So they have no, so his resurrection, okay? And now what does it say? It says the doors were what? They were locked. Okay, John is the narrator, is very clear. The doors were locked. Okay? What is it implying? And all of a sudden Jesus just shows up. Where did he come from? Right? Well, what is there implications of something here? Teleportation. Okay? Okay, John is very clear. The doors were locked. Okay? Trish, can you continue reading just verse 24 to 29? Same chapter, 24 to 29.
Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." A week later, the disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands? Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe."
Okay. So wait, the same thing. Thomas is, kind of like Peter, speaking his mind. And then what does he say? I'm not going to believe until I touch him, etc. And what does John as the narrator say? The doors were locked. Second time he says it. And what does he say right away? And then Jesus appeared. Right? There's a reason why John says the doors were locked. And then Jesus appeared twice. The point is, it's impossible for him to come in.
Unless you come in through, you try to open the window.
Did he come in through the window? Did he dig a hole? Did he, you know what I mean? Something like that. But no, I think there's something very supernatural here. And again,
definitely.
the photos that I sent you guys, it's clear that there's implications of him, they're touching each other, right? That's physicality. But again, are there elements of teleportation as far as the new bodies? Now, this could be like Christ, because he was doing supernatural things. Will it mean that us, could we do the exact same thing? When I was a kid, when I thought of heaven, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fly. So, you want to fly, right? But again, I don't know if that's just my imagination. That's just me and my wishful thinking. But again, it seems like we'll be human. We'll have physical bodies, but will there be supernatural elements to us? I don't know. Right?
Yeah, but if Jesus looked the same,
Yeah.
because they recognized him, then will we look the same?
I'm pretty sure And then now you have other metaphysical questions like, what about babies? What about people with Down syndrome? What about someone that has like, one eye or one leg? Things like that. But I think there's going to be a restoration process to it. So as far as our resurrected bodies.
Well,
Yeah.
he ultimately God made everything, so it's not like he forgot the blueprints or it's like, or he doesn't know. It's like, oops, I forgot that.
Yeah.
He has the blueprint for everything he's made, so it's like, for him, it's like not hard to just restore it. It's like, okay, boom, The other thing that's funny about this story that makes me laugh every time, it's like I always read it in like a super arrogant voice. So it's like, unless I see that his hands and the marks of the nails.
Right.
It's
right.
just,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it's just
Demanding,
like,
very demanding.
yeah, it's,
But again, if we're there too, like for thousands of years, you believe one thing, and then there's this guy named Jesus that comes along, and you have the expectation of a Jew is like riding a white stallion horse, destroying the Roman Empire, right? And Jesus came through with a donkey, and he got beat up and killed right in front of us, right? So again, I'm sure that doubt would slowly fizzle in. It's harder for us to read it, you know what I mean? Because like we know what happens, versus like if we were there at the moment. So, yeah. Right. Also, what did Jesus do in Luke chapter 21? Or no, this is also in John's Gospel. Can someone continue reading John's Gospel 21, chapter 21, 9 to 14? John 21, 9 to 14. John 21, 9 to 14. It's like 5 verses.
And so when they got out upon the land, they saw a charcoal fire already laid, and fish placed on it, and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some fish which you have now caught." Simon Peter went up and drew the net to the land, full of large fish, 153. And although there were so many, the net was not torn.
Okay.
So Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples ventured to question him, "Who are you?" knowing that it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave them, and the fish likewise. This is now the third time that Jesus was manifested to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. So when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And he said to him, "Tend my lambs." Is it till 15?
No, that's good. So again, the resurrected Christ, and now he's preparing breakfast. Okay, it's not your typical bacon and eggs, right? But it's fish. Okay, but he had fish prepared as they caught fish. But again, in Luke's Gospel, chapter 24, it says that Jesus was eating fish with them. Okay, it doesn't say he was eating fish in John's Gospel. In Luke's Gospel, he says he was eating fish with them. Okay, so the question, remember, Jesus is the example. Remember what Paul says. He is the first fruits as far as the resurrected body. Paul is saying, Philippians chapter 3, as he has a resurrected body, so we will too. But what is Christ doing here? He's eating. Okay? Question. Will we have food in the new heavens and the new earth?
Yes, because the resurrected Christ was eating.
Exactly. Okay? Now, you go into other questions as far as, like again, what about lack? Will we, when we eat in the new earth, are we eating based upon a lack, like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat, or pure enjoyment? Right? Again, just thinking out loud, because again, it's a state of moral perfection. Okay, implying that there's no sense of lack in the new earth. Okay, so again, these are things we can think about. Other people speculate: will the new earth be a place of pescatarianism? Because meaning that again, are we going to be killing cows? Are we going to be killing chickens? in the new earth, because we're later on in this lesson we're going to talk about animals in the afterlife, pets, cats, dogs. But again, it's something that we can think about. Like think about some people believe that there's animals that have souls and there's animals that don't have souls. Soulish animals, they call it. But you could see it. No, you could really see it here. Again, we have to think practically here on this planet too. There are certain animals you can train, right? And you could tell there's different forms of personality. And pure biology cannot explain that. But there are other animals, say, such as fish, where they're very robotic. Not seals, I'm talking about fish, right? Some people say fish are not soulish animals. They don't have souls. So as a result, it's morally justified to eat fish in the new earth. Again, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not being dogmatic. I'm just throwing things as far as what we see from John 21, Luke chapter 24, and speaking out loud. Okay? So...
I mean, it's... You can deduce, like, from the story, the parable, if Jesus is making fish, then it's like... The reason why you're going to eat in heaven is because you're going to be working.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be doing something, so it's like you have to eat, you're going to be fellowshipping, so it's like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, you're going to be eating because there's going to be fruit trees, and God didn't make it as, like, decoration, like, oh, look at the apple tree, or, you know, or whatever it is. It's like, you're going to be eating the fruit, so it's like, you can deduce from these stories that it's like, you're going to be eating, but it's like, it's, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be, like, mass, you know, steaks, you know, like a slaughterhouse. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah. No, but again, you're just thinking out loud, right? But the one thing we can definitely see is there's a renewed physical state. As far as the earth, as far as cities, as far as our bodies, which is clear. And again, it's a continuity. Remember, the new earth is a continuity of Genesis chapter 2. And this is the one thing that we over-spiritualize, back to what C.S. Lewis was saying. We over-spiritualize it. Remember, it's a continuity as far as Genesis chapter 2. This is why, like for the first lesson of heaven, we started with Genesis, we ended in Revelation. But that was the point, was to show that the very essence of the new earth is the presence of God. The very essence of this life, the afterlife, is the presence of God. And it's a continuation of it. As long as we are dwelling with God, that's heaven. Right? So again, in Genesis chapter 2, it was humanity and God. Okay, they were walking together. Now, let's be honest, our relationship with God, this we'll talk about later, is sometimes it feels like it's one way, if we're to be honest. Meaning that I'm sure all of us have had moments of we're crying out to God, but it doesn't feel like God is with us. Am I right? Right? You see it all over the Psalms of David screaming out loud, "How long, O Lord?" Right? But that's part of the fall. Oh, sorry. All right, guys. Nate, Joshua, Jen, we're gonna exit off and then come right back on. Okay, we'll exit right off now and come right back on. Thanks, Elaine, for the reminder.
Well,
I got some new people.
I mean, God obviously knows, like, our needs, and He knows when we need help, but it's like, He doesn't have to lift a finger, like, He doesn't have to answer. And ultimately, He decides when He wants to answer, and when maybe He does answer, and maybe the people that are requesting Him to answer, maybe He already did, and they don't know, because they're blinded, or they're not that aware.
But see, that's still a form of a perceived alienation. It's still a perceived alienation, meaning that you don't experience that with people. Someone might ignore you, but the point is, I see you guys. The immediacy is there, you see. But sometimes with God, it doesn't feel like that. I'm not saying it's like, but again, this is part of the fallen nature. This is part of this world that we live in. That's the one thing that was destroyed, really.
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
I think you're correct in that, yeah, there's like a perceived alienation, you know, but that, again, goes back to His Word, and it's like, we have to tell ourselves what His Word says in the truth. So it says that we can't lean on our own understanding, with to acknowledge Him in all ways and trust in the Lord, and He'll make our path straight. And then He says, He'll never leave us nor forsake us. So if we think God isn't aware, like he's not there, then we're deceiving ourselves with an assumption and not the truth. He says he'll never leave us nor forsake us. And it may get dark, but his word stands more powerful than our own thoughts and what other people say. When, Job's wife said, "Oh, curse God and die. He failed you, But it's like, Job didn't listen to her dumb words, her unwise words. He believed, and he didn't lose hope in his ultimate hope. So I think that if you rely on your own psychology.
Could you guys hear, by the way? Guys, you can hear when people talk here? Okay, go ahead.
It's like when you rely on your own psychology and your own way of like figuring it out, that's like where Satan traps you, because if you don't proclaim his truth, I will never leave you nor forsake you, then it's like he's got you, because it's like you're thinking that God is leaving you, but he said he never would, so it's like he'll never leave you. Tell God, your word says this. You have to tell God and remind yourself, like you said, you'll never leave me nor forsake you, and God will he'll do something, to show you that he's ultimately in control of everything and how powerful he is. But it's like Jesus was saying, it's like, haven't you read the scriptures? It's like we don't understand, or we haven't gotten to a new spot because we don't know his word.
Right.
And then we complain.
I understand, but again,
Yeah.
there's ideas that go around today called atheism, called agnosticism, called secularism in this nation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a result of, I don't feel God. God's not here. And some people are warranted to believe that in this fallen world. And that's all I'm acknowledging. But what I'm saying is Genesis 2, the new earth, that doesn't exist. No, there are no beliefs of atheism, right? None of us deny the existence of this black chair to my right, right? It's there, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. It will be self-evident. Like to us, we believe that God exists, but I'm just saying, I'm acknowledging the fallen nature as far as Genesis 2, God is there, the chair is there, to I believe it's there, some of us don't. And that's what the fall did. Okay?
But I think a lot of it is based on the Holy Spirit.
Yes, 100%.
Because I think, personally, I feel closer to God by the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's in me. I mean, that's what God promised. That's what Jesus promised. And it's almost like you have somebody with you that you can actually talk to.
Uh-huh.
But it's a spirit, but yet it's God and Jesus. It's all three of them. But it's hard to explain. It's hard for me to even understand.
Yes.
But it's a spirit for me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
For everyone. You cannot come to God alone based on your cognitive ability. It's
Right.
impossible, because the Bible doesn't teach that. Again, oh my goodness, Anthony Flew, famous atheist philosopher for years, was just pronouncing atheism left and right, and then he would debate Christians, and he would lose in a lot of his debates. But again, he was brilliant. All his ability to think was bring him to deism. That's the belief that some divine being exists, but he just left the planet. So he never was a Christian, didn't believe in Christ, no Holy Spirit, and he died. So that's what I'm saying. It can't be just intellect alone. It has to be we have to be born again. Some internal transformation, and that's what we're going to get to in a bit, that leads to your thinking. Okay? So that is always the blueprint biblically. So 100%, like again, even Jesus is always on the Holy Spirit. Okay? So remember...
Ruben, question. What's the significance of the 153?
Where's that?
It's the amount of fish.
John 21, 153 fishes.
Oh. 153?
That's a whole other...
Yeah. I got no clue. Yeah, I don't know if there's significance. Did they catch 153 fish?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's definitely significant, that number, I'm sure it's a deep
Well,
meaning.
Well, the reason why I asked did they catch 153 is because when they came with the 153, Jesus already had fish for them. So you have to add the amount of fish that Jesus had for them, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm following you. I just know I got to look at the thing.
So what I'm saying is, they caught 153, right? But as they brought the 153, Jesus already had fish prepared for them. So what I'm saying is, it's as if you have to add the amount of fish that Jesus had to the 153. So it changes the number. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for it said that Jesus. Does it say that he had fish?
Oh yeah, it says he had fish prepared. Also, it's in Luke 24:36-42, and that's where it says he ate the fish. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, he ate it. So my point is, if he's in a resurrected body, he's physically eating fish. Put the two and two together for us in the new earth, as far as us eating meat, us eating. I'm just again, we want to be practical. And the reason why we're thinking like this, again, you go back to C.S. Lewis's quote. People don't even think like this because we're Casper the Ghost in the Clouds. Right? We don't eat. We don't experience anything but just flying and singing. And again, it's that's the concept of heaven that people have. Okay, but a renewed Trish.
I'm just thinking, if you trust in God, it doesn't, and you know that you're going to be with Him, it doesn't really matter whether we eat or whether we don't, or whether our bodies are this or that. We just trust in Him that it will be right.
All right, yeah, 100%.
I mean, we can discuss it. It's a good discussion. I'm just saying, because He doesn't give us definitive answers.
Right. Yes.
Then we can imagine it, but we can also just say, it's easier for me to just say, it doesn't really matter, because as long as I'm with God, it doesn't matter. Whether I have a new body, whatever it is that He's chosen to make the new earth, that's
right.
what I will be.
A good thing about being specific, like just using our imagination to talk about the afterlife, heaven, hell, is because there's been so many authors that have written about Christianity, and the one thing that really discourages them about Christianity is our concept of the afterlife, and it's not our concept, it's this imaginative understanding that we have. So it's like, again, my point, I'm making very clear, it's a continuity of Genesis 2. So us here on this earth, we will be here on this earth, but in a renewed form. Right? And this is where we think out loud, imagination and et cetera. Again, I'm not being dogmatic. Say we're all going to be pescatarian and eat fish, right? We could. I'm just throwing it out there, right? What, Trish? Virginia.
So I typed in Google, what is the significance of 153 fish?
Uh-huh.
It says, so not only does the 153 big fishes refer to the 153,000 constructors of the first temple, it also means a very large unknown number. This is also coherent with the first observation of one of the apostles when looking inside the net. There was a multitude of fishes.
And
Wow.
a broken net.
Did you hear that, Nate?
Yeah, so it's in relation to the 153,000 builders of the temple.
1,000 constructors of the first temple.
Constructed the time. But again,
This is Google though.
Yeah, I'm going to speak out loud here. John didn't say that. Luke didn't say that as a narrator. You know what I mean? So again, we're left to speculation. Again, it's good to ask these questions, but that's the one thing I try not to do is be dogmatic when it comes to things like this. Like that's what I'm saying. Like pescatarians eating I'm just throwing it out there, right?
Yeah,
or the 150
possibility. I mean, we should look at that.
Yeah, we could look.
100,000.
Okay, so renewed physical world. Okay, physical bodies, cities, earth. Okay, but remember the continuity of Genesis chapter 2. Now, what was one of the things that God told Adam and Eve to do in Genesis chapter 2 before the fall? They had to what? Work.
Take care of them.
Take care of.
Garden, yeah.
Be gardeners. Okay, renewed work. Okay, is what I want to talk about. Renewed
You
work.
mentioned renewing Eden too.
we talked about this last time, but the word paradise, the word paradise, the root word is garden, Eden.
Oh, okay.
The root word for paradise is the actual word Eden. Okay, so Muslims, when you hear Muslims speak, they don't say heaven, they say paradise, 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 in reference to some future physical garden. Okay, so remember, after Genesis chapter 3, in Genesis chapter 3, God rebuked Satan, Adam, and Eve, and he specifically told them to their face, this is what's going to happen to you, this is what's going to happen to you, and this is what's going to happen to you. Okay? But one of the things that became marred after the fall was our work. Right? It's painful. It's hard to, right? Work here in this life, it's frustrating. Okay, you get fired, you put work into it, nothing happens. You know, so it just, for some people do great, some people don't, right? But Paul Stevens says this in one of his books. Our final destiny is not a workless utopia, okay, but a renewed world in which we will work with infinite creativity and fulfillment. Okay, so again, the destiny is not a workless utopia, and that's one of the things that people get confused about heaven. It's like, what am I going to do there? If I get to heaven, what am I going to do? Sit on a chair and just look at, you know, Jesus all day? Like, is that, you know? So people get discouraged. Okay. Again, it's a continuity of Genesis chapter 2. Fall happened in chapter 3, and now our work has been cursed. Okay. Now, think of, can someone read Isaiah? Remember, this is a prophecy in the Old Testament in reference to the new heavens and new earth. Isaiah 65, 17 to 23. Isaiah chapter 65, 17 to 23. Isaiah 65, 17 to 23.
Okay. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered or come to mind, but be glad and rejoice forever in what I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem as a rejoicing, and her people a joy. I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. The voice of weeping shall no longer be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. No more shall an infant from there live but a few days, nor an old man who has not fulfilled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. They shall build houses and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and eat their fruit. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree, so shall be the days of my people, and my elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth children for trouble, for they shall be the descendants of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them.
Okay, so this is, remember, the Old Testament. This is the Old Testament. But again, what does it continually mention in these verses? Work. Okay, not working in vain. We're going to use our hands. That's okay. In a bit. But again, a continuity of work. Okay, now, again, this is, we're going to use our imaginations here. Okay, but again, what kind of jobs, what kind of work will we do in the afterlife or the
Farming.
Farming.
Construction.
I can see that. Cooking.
Nursing.
Ooh, wait. Exactly, that's what I want to get to. There's jobs I want to say what we could do, and jobs that won't be there. I wrote down here what we won't do is nursing. Because what does nursing imply?
So then you're sick.
Sickness, physical ailment, all that, right? So I don't think nurses will be...
Oh no, what am I going to do?
Exactly, right?
But it mentioned in restoring Eden, it said the trees you use their leaves for healing. So why would we need that?
Yeah, I think so. I think Kevin asked me that last time. I don't know.
Oh.
Or Nate asked me that last time. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think God doesn't make things that aren't useful. So I think that just because you're a nurse doesn't mean that you wouldn't have a skill to offer the kingdom within the afterlife. So I think that nurses, give a lot of like care,
Okay.
or, like compassion.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like,
In a different form, though.
yeah, it's just it's not like checking in an IV or something. It's just different.
Babysit, taking care of children.
Yeah.
Comforting people.
Yeah. Comfort. What else? I put art. A lot of art, creativity. I think a lot of us are gonna be gardeners. That's what I get, especially from what Nate read in Isaiah 65. What about technology? Nothing wrong with technology,
Hopefully
right?
not.
Continual
Dude, I don't wanna see
advancement.
it.
What kind of
Yeah,
technology do they have?
I'll tell you one thing. In the new earth, I do not want to have a smartphone. Like I do not like I get the
I don't
weekly
want
reminders
Facebook.
of your screen time. It is so discouraging. You lie to yourself. No, I was listening to a sermon that day, right? But it's right. But
No, I don't even think it's accurate.
what about jobs that won't be in the new earth? This is encouraging here. What about jobs in the new earth that won't be?
Bars, we
Bankers.
have bartenders.
No bartenders.
Police.
Well, no, they could be making
Well, no.
fruit smoothies.
I think of currency. I think will we have currency?
Yeah.
Maybe. Is there a new earth currency? What I wrote here was no hospitals,
Police.
no
If we have
police,
currency, though, then there's people that have more and people that have less.
and we're gonna talk
I
about
mean,
that.
I think it's hard.
No, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about
But we're going
class
to be,
systems.
different people are going to be on different levels
Yes.
in heaven. So
class systems.
yeah, it's gonna be very
I wrote
class.
that down. Will there be class systems? And no. I think the Bible speaks about it. I think it does.
We'll be
Okay.
placed
Um,
according to what we've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to say this. So it's not like it's just gonna be like the size of El Segundo. Like this is like a massive, architectural like marvel and like massive complex.
Yeah.
However you want to describe it. So it's like to say that there would be no police. I think there would be police, and they're probably directing traffic. Like,
Well, I think
I don't know.
I think we need to make a distinction between traffic police and real police, because
No guns.
there's parking police, but no one's afraid of them, But
no, but I'm
Do you think it'd be
saying like if it's a
teleportation rather
city.
Cars.
Well-
I'm saying if it's a city, you have to imagine that there's 1 billion plus people, and
Right.
there's gonna be different stuff.
yeah, you're right. One thing that really, I'm kind of like floored. I'm shocked. Is the amount of anarchy we've seen in this nation the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, like, smash and grabs or whatever you call it, ski masks, ways people are just they bump your car intentionally, and you have to get out, and they steal your car and go off, like just in the middle of broad daylight in these major cities. And I'm like, it feels like we're in Gotham City. It literally does, in the sense of like, you have the elite billionaires, and all of a sudden you have the normal people, but now the middle class is slowly suffering, and then now you have anarchy at the bottom, crime, and it's like blatant. Like before, it'd be rare, right? There'd always be crime, but like I'm saying, at this level of complete rebellion. Like I'm like, where's Batman? Is that sense of like, we need hope, right? But that right there, my heart, looking at crime and just inventions of crime, like people like they love clout nowadays, right? Clout meaning you record me do this, and I'm gonna do something really ridiculous. It's an ache that I have, and I think all of us have that too. But that ache is a cry for the new earth, because it won't be there. Okay, it will not be there. That's why there's probably going to be no police officers as far as the gun freeze, that kind of police officer. There's no need for it, because it's a state of moral perfection. Okay, I can see a traffic police, like as far as instructing people to go, but as far as you've committed a crime. No one commits a crime, because everyone's morally perfect. We're in the presence of God.
I'm just saying, I guess like when I'm referencing job descriptions is like, it's an aspect of like the job you had on Earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like if you're a cop, maybe.
Or what's of a doctor? Like a doctor, like help children that, you know, had a hole in their mouth or something, and, you know, maybe he has all these patients that are all
Right.
hanging out together. Just I just think it's gonna be something where it's like you probably helped all these people in the hospital in these crazy scenarios where no one else sees the stuff you've seen, and God's gonna make it like some beautiful thing in the afterlife where it's like you're hanging out with these people and you see someone that's deformed and now you see them as God intended them to be. Like, it's gonna be freaking amazing. Like,
Do you know in the Bible how it speaks of different dimensions that there's things going on around us right now that we can't see?
Yeah. No.
Do you think there might be something like that?
100%.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about this at the end, but the experience, again, we want to think practically. Like, what are glimpses? Like, I think of a caterpillar to a butterfly. Like, just that. Like, there's that being is on Earth. That thing is on Earth where there's no way. It's like two different creatures, but they're the same creature. The experience I think of is you ever think of we have 5 senses, right?
Right.
It's like multiple different senses that we don't know. We've seen that here on Earth, meaning
Right.
you ever see those videos where the person that's colorblind, right, their whole life, and then they put these glasses on and they're like
Right. Whoa.
they're crying, they're just, or the person that is deaf, and then they put this hearing it and they just start crying. Like, everyone cries, they rejoice through crying in those videos, but they've now gained a sense that they never had. So they were living on 4 senses, and that last one made this human experience unreal, and they started just weeping, right? So I'm just saying, in the new earth, in heaven, I'm pretty sure there will be multiple senses that we are unaware of, dimensions that we're and again, me, Pesca, asking these, we're just trying to think out loud to kind of, you know, form our imaginations here, because again, there's glimpses of heaven here on this earth, and we're kind of thinking out loud. But 100%, like, I think of another experience where you see those children with their parents, their dads in the military or brothers in the military, and they've never seen them for like 4 years, and then they have the surprise and they're just crying. You know what I mean? Like, those emotional experiences I look for, as far as what will the new earth be like. Because remember, you want to think emotionally too. We're emotional creatures. Okay, so put no hospitals, no police officers, no firefighters, no military. I put no doctors, no lawyers, no counselors, no wheelchair manufacturers, and guess what? No pastors. Right? No pastors.
yeah, because we'll be with the living word.
Oh yeah. Why do you? Okay, let's open our Bible and talk about Jesus when he was here. Jesus right over there.
I think that would be. I just think that is such a funny.
Like, what would the Bible be like? Yeah, like, would it be?
It's still gonna be there. It's the living word.
Yeah, it's the living word, but will.
But you have the living word.
Yeah, would it come to its completion as far as it being? I think the Bible is for our time here,
Right.
for us.
But he's not gonna do away with.
No, I don't think he will. Like, it's history. That is not human history. That's like divine history. I think out loud. Like, we are very limited in our knowledge. Could you imagine the books that are written about angels, about the life of Lucifer, the psychology of Lucifer, being like, you know, in Isaiah 14? Like, I'm just saying, like, we're limited. We don't know. What's his right hand? Like, the fact that C.S. Lewis wrote Screwtape Letters, that's his imagination. He's doing what we're doing, right? He was thinking out loud. He's being like, all right, Wormwood, right? There's the enemy. There's Satan. He thinks God's the enemy, so let's call him the enemy. And the mindset of a demon. You ever think of what about the 1/3 that fell? What were they thinking? What's the pain of those who were in Tartarus? Like, I'm just saying, we're very limited. I'm asking questions that I don't know. But I'm saying, like, there's so much information out there, spiritual information, different dimensions, but we don't know. But in the afterlife, will we know these things? Right? I think it's very interesting to ask.
I have a tape. It's a really old tape. It's a cassette tape. Can't even play it now. But from what I remember, it was a very intelligent astrophysicist or somebody that studied all of that most of their life, the different dimensions.
Yeah.
And one of the dimensions he mentioned is miracles. Because in his opinion, that when a miracle happens, we're transported somewhere else.
Huh.
Because miracles don't normally happen here,
Yes.
in the dimension that we're in. People have to be transferred, even though, you don't have to physically get up and move somewhere else, but you're moving into that dimension. I mean, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to tell you everything that was in it, but
But he's speculating. I'm sure.
Right.
And again, when I bring up Jesus, the whole when the door was locked and he teleported, it's also in I think Philip and the Ethiopian in the book of Acts. Remember that, where he baptized the Ethiopian, and then when the Ethiopian got up, he was gone. So we're not talking about Jesus. We're talking about one of the apostles here. So again, some scholars, that's teleportation right there. Remember in when Jesus was being tempted by Satan, it's like Satan was the one that grabbed him and brought him up to a hill like instantaneously. So again, those are 4 passages we talked about: 2 in John, 1 in Acts, and then 1 in Matthew chapter 4. So again, these are references as far as like people speculate instant teleportation, but with the supernatural. So the reason why I bring up our earthly bodies, Jesus did it twice in his resurrected bodies. Will we? I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, but it's interesting to ask.
So
right?
So here's the thing, okay? Like in my own assessment of the situation. Let's say like, this is like the room and it's like locked, the doors are locked, and we're like, we're just like fear of the Jews or whatever.
Okay.
What I'm saying, it's the same today as it was like when they were waiting in the room. So it's like God the Father was still in heaven at that point, and he's still like omnipresent, so he's everywhere. So I feel like God was still there, even though it's like they're waiting and they're scared. But I feel like God he's probably like laughing because it's like, oh God, here's the moment, like, where they're scared of the Jews, and Jesus is gonna appear because like I've rose Christ from the dead, and it's just kind of, it's not funny, but it just makes me laugh because I'm just thinking like, it's like, yeah, Jesus appeared, but it's like I feel like God is already there because he's omnipresent. So it's like, but it was like Jesus had to appear for us, because it's like it's like no one would believe it because it's like they have to put their hands in his side and on his hand or whatever, but it's like God is already there. Like it's like the way we feel right now is like the same way it was 1,000 years ago. We just have iPhones and water bottles, but it's like the same scenario. Like God is still in heaven. Like it's crazy to think like that. Like it's still the same. Like.
Any questions from you guys online? No?
From our online audience.
Remember this though. When I'm just saying work, there's always a motive, there's always an essence behind why we do what we do, okay? Work as a means to fulfill human purpose, okay? You don't just work for the sake of working. There's something that happens inside of you when you work, and that is it fulfills something called purpose, okay? You are created in the image of God, which means reason, rationality, emotions, also, which God has, we have too. But one of the things that God has done, and this is before the fall, is when we work, there's a sense of purpose that we feel, a fulfillment that we feel. Okay, it's something innate within all of us. Now, watch when you remove purpose from someone. When they have no purpose, you remove a person's purpose from them. Instantaneously, by nature, they will run to pleasure. Okay? You remove someone's purpose from them. They have no purpose in their life. They're naturally going to run to pleasure. Naturally. Past, present, future, Christian, atheist, Buddhist, there's a nature that within humanity that God has given man work in order to fulfill purpose. right? Something outside of yourself. Yeah, Kevin?
Or they die, like if you don't have purpose,
Yeah, that's
you
what I
lose
was gonna
hope.
say.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. Now, the problem with purpose, okay, is that our hearts are like black holes. I mean, there's utterly no end to fulfill pleasure. That's why when someone, all right, let's just say we all win the mega $1 billion, okay? So we have multi-billion dollars, but we have no purpose. We have no work, okay? Guess what the billionaire is going to do with their money? They're naturally going to run to pleasure.
Try to go see the Titanic.
Right? That's why you see people just take photos on their Instagram account of them on a yacht, them at a club, them just pleasure. Okay, and now I'm not even condemning it. I'm just saying they naturally do that. Okay, and remember this, pleasure. It's like a black hole. There's a point you're gonna get very discontent, and you're just gonna be like, man, what am I doing with my life? And that's why God gave us work to fulfill purpose. Okay?
Well, we all need a reason to wake up for in the morning.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we just want to stay in bed all day.
Does it
Nothing
say?
to do.
Does it say that in Genesis that the work He gave us gives us purpose?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that. But what I'm saying is, like, we have thousands of years to philosophize, to think of human nature, right? As far as pleasure, as far as human desire. Our next point is about emotions and all that. But again, it's innate within humanity. Like, work and purpose go hand in hand. Okay, this is why it's very difficult for the person that say they retire. Or my friend Ron Regenstrife, he's a friend of mine in LA, but he is 75 years old, and he started a ministry called 4Q Ministry. And what that is that it's based upon basketball. So there's 4 quarters in basketball, and the last quarter is your 4th quarter. And he's like, Ruben, I'm on my last stride of life. I'm in my 4th quarter, and usually people in my quarter, 4th quarter, he's 75, hit a point where you lose purpose, because he's retired. Okay, he's retired. He's good financially for the rest of his life. But what is he going to do? Right? Run to pleasure?
What does the nonprofit do? Like, what's the purpose of it?
Oh, it's more a ministry to people in their 4th quarter to give them purpose, to raise awareness as far as giving someone pleasure, a purpose. Because you remove that, you just sit around and you think of how to fulfill your time.
Are a lot of people involved with it? Or?
I have no clue, but he was communicating this to me, he was educating me with his nonprofit.
No, I'd like to send it to some people.
Yeah, no, I can send you what he does. But the point is that it's not even in your 4th quarter. People in their 1st quarter. Look what the pandemic did. We're not created to sit around and do nothing. Okay, because if you do nothing, you're not fulfilling your purpose.
Shelter in place.
Right? And if you're not fulfilling your purpose, you get bored and you run to pleasure by nature. And again, we're seeing ramifications of it. Not people in their 4th quarter, but I'm talking about people in their 1st and their 2nd quarter, young people. And you see it, right? You see it. With all due respect, look at people who are on Skid Row. Okay? You look around, you can see these people don't really have a purpose. I'm just generalizing here. I'm sure there's some people there that maybe do. But in a generalization, no work, no purpose. Okay? 2 go hand in hand. But remember, this sense of fulfilling your purpose in life. Remember, back to the there's this guy on Instagram that has something where he sees his grandmother and she just sits around, doesn't nothing to do. So he has little small tasks for her to do every day. Like, oh, here, Grandma, we have 50 napkins, and we're going to fold all of them like this. And she folds the 50 napkins. But doing that, for the rest of her day, she's complete. She can now sit in a chair and just watch because she feels fulfilled, right? After folding 50 napkins. And then the next day, there's another task to do, right? But again, it's innate within every single one of us, okay? Christian, atheist, every human has that sense of, I need to do something to feel fulfilled, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, whatever, like my parents, like when we're in Florida together, I mean, that generation's different, like every generation's different, but it's like we would get like fresh shrimp and then I'd see like my dad or whoever else like helping him peel the shrimp, but it's like it's just there's a purpose, and it's like you have to employ your hands to do something to
like
make it.
I'm thinking out loud, like kids like way back in the Bible, or even right now in like some remote place of Africa, like they go out as a tribe or as a family, they hunt. And they'll bring their little kid along, right? And the kid will do absolutely nothing, but it's like, here, son, hold my bow and arrow. It's like just holding the bow and arrow, the kid feels like I did something. I contributed to the. I felt useful. Or they kill the water buffalo, and it's like everyone's holding the water buffalo, but they're just putting their hand on the water buffalo, even though they're doing nothing. But they feel like they're carrying it. But it gives them a sense of purpose. I'm fulfilled doing it. And you come back and, yes, I killed the water, but you didn't kill the water. You held the bow and arrow, kid. But again, to the kid, right? So I'm just, again, this is something innate within every single one of us. So remember that. When you lose that job, that's what I'm saying. I always hear the same ideas coming whenever I hear people in retirement. It's the same thing when they don't know what to do now. Right? What do I do with my life? And the essence is I feel purposeless. That's what the heart is saying. But just because you have no job where you make money, there's still a sense of you got to do something productive as far as God or life, or something outside of yourself. Okay? So remember, the reason why I bring this up is because, again, we're still human in the afterlife. And that's one thing that God says before the fall there was work. And with the passage that Nate read in Isaiah 65, there's going to be work in the new earth, the new heavens, the new earth. And again, that sense of I need to do something outside of myself to have that purpose fulfilled will still be there. Does that make sense, Kevin?
I guess like one of the things that I think about is just like God completes us morally and makes us perfect in His sight, blameless in His sight through His Son Jesus, and He's cleansed us from all unrighteousness. So when we stand before Him, we can be blameless. But the other thing too is like I just hope in heaven where it's like God still shows us that He's God, like it just like I just feel like it's like we're still like He did redeem us, but I feel like we're still like we're saved by Him, but it's like He's so much more greater, like, and I just hope that still we realize that every day.
Now, what I hear is you're assuming that there's going to be possibly apathy, cold-heartedness,
or just
a lukewarm heart.
Or no, just kind of like people will get arrogant, like Satan.
Yeah, so that won't happen.
Okay.
That's a sin. We're filtering it through our human lenses, but that won't happen. Again, we talked about this before as far as a set state when we talked about hell. Guys, we're under a minute. We'll exit off and we'll come right back on. Okay. All right. So
I guess I'm so sick of like all the like division and commotion.
All right,
problems. It's like
if it's not going to, but I'm just speaking out of my own. Like I'm thinking out loud here. If we ever get to heaven and some second fall happen, I'm just like, all right, I'm out of here. I don't know what to do now, because this earth, especially living in the 21st century, was interesting. If some fall and some Antifa, or wow, man, I'm out. I am some political corruption. Oh no. Like I don't know what to do from there. It's like
I say if we knew exactly what that was going to be like, we'd go out and kill ourselves. There'd be suicide every day just to go, right?
But again, this concept of work we typically don't think of as far as heaven, because that's why people think it's boring. Because it's like, what am I going to do? Just sit around? Again, that implies that you think that heaven is going to be purposeless because you're not going to do anything. Sitting around, you're just sitting around. And again, you give the billionaire, there's a billionaire that just sits on the beach all day. They get bored because their sense of purpose is now, so what? They naturally run to pleasure. Pleasure is always an escapism, heads up. Pleasure is always an escapism to hide what is deep inside as far as a lack of purpose. But again, back to the human heart. It's a black hole. There's no end to its fulfillment. Okay? You see it left and right with like these elite celebrities who have millions of dollars and they can do whatever they want. They always hit that point of like, man, what am I doing with my life? Like, I don't really care. Like,
You see a lot of suicides.
Suicides.
Because they don't,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
They're bored.
Bored because they hit that peak of pleasure. They've experienced all the drugs, all the pleasure that the world has to offer. But the human heart is a black hole. Okay.
Above all else, it's the secret.
well, I just say do what you think. Because I'm not healthy like I thought I would be.
Yeah.
I wish I had done things
Differently.
that I didn't do that I can't do now.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, if you want to do something and you can do it, do it. Because not just pleasure, but just things, you know. I mean, I used to work in the cat shelter. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, but physically I can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, there's just things, and you don't know that ahead of time. I mean, I had no idea I would be not as healthy. I thought I would be healthy. I mean, I'm not totally unhealthy, but I'm just saying I thought I would be healthier than I am and able to do anything. Because I used to be a hiker and do all kinds of things that I can't do anymore.
Well, we again we're just speculating here, but we go back to what will everyone be like their age? Will everyone be 30? Some people believe it's a locked-in age at 30. Because again, you have to think out loud. What about the baby that died at 4 months or 2? You become a 2-year-old for the rest of your life. You know, you know, if that's the case, it's like you want to die at 30 so you could be 30 for eternity versus like, so you die at 115 and you're like, oh no, I don't.
Or maybe
That's
30,
actually an
30 may
interesting
not have
thing.
been great in your life, but maybe 40 was. Or,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't pick I'm just saying, who knows what is happening with people at whatever age.
Well, maybe he starts you off at like whatever age you ended on Earth, and lets you grow up in heaven.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you live, and you know, so if you died as a teenager, you get to live out like your teenage years in heaven.
Yeah.
What if you're 85 or 90?
I have no idea.
Okay, so we talked about a renewal of the physical world, a renewal of work. Okay, we're definitely not going to finish today because we have 7 more to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll continue this next time. But a renewal of your emotional state. Okay, and this is kind of going back to what you're saying. Like again, all of us have disordered emotions, and I think we can clearly see it at any time in human history. Like the struggle of mental health today, it's a reflection of the fall. It was never meant to be this way, right? People suffering internally, being locked in a room, what goes in your mind, suicidal thoughts. Suicide is a scream. It's a scream for the new earth. Someone is screaming for the new earth, meaning I do not like this earth. I don't like this. I don't like my life, etc. And I want to escape it. It's the ultimate form of escapism of this planet, right? And I think if we're to be sympathetic with anyone in that state, we get it. In the sense, no, I understand. This life is painful. All the sorrow and tragedy and grief that happens in this, I get it. I completely get it. But a renewed emotional state. Okay, remember we're image bearers of God. We'll always be image bearers of God, which means we have reason, we have emotion, we have emotional state, and it will continue. I remember someone asked, a young girl asked me, will there be emotions in the afterlife? Will there be emotions in the afterlife? You are human. You are a soul. And a soul by nature has emotions. You will always have emotions. That's why when I hear people speak very poorly about emotions, I'm like, you do not understand the full human experience. If
Jesus had emotion.
Oh, God,
A lot.
the Father, the Holy Spirit, all the members of the Trinity have emotions, and it's a part of our spirituality and who we are. So when someone suppresses their emotions, they don't understand who they are. They really don't understand who they. It's a form of insecurity. Really, it is, right? True maturity is being one with yourself. I'm not trying to be Buddhist or give some. What I mean is we live a dualistic nature. We live, this is who we really are, and this is the way I like to present myself before people. And a lot of us feed this guy right here. It's how I present myself. So I go on Instagram and I just post things that feed this person, but not this person. I'm happy, I'm smiling, but it's like, no, I'm really sad. But I'm perceived as happy. But a lot of people like that, right? I'm rich, right? Right? Etc. But then it's like, really? But again, my point is, this is who you want to be. Okay? This is the one person. And what is implied there is your emotional state. Okay? So again, when you kill this person off, and you start from here, remember, Daniel, chapter 6, outside and living, starting from here, moving in, versus inside out, starting from here and working your way out here. Okay? But the heart of it, we go back to the book of Proverbs is a heart and inner state of disordered emotions, disordered loves versus ordered loves. Okay? So Augustine, theologian, 3rd century, said, he's noticed everyone's so unhappy in his generation. All these people are unhappy. And then he says, you know what the problem is? You know what the problem is? It's not anything external. It's not the weather. It's, you know what it is? People have disordered loves inside their heart. Meaning that they love the secondary, the thirdary, the fourthary, the fifthary things in this life more than what should be primary. That's God. So God is probably number 4. God is number 6 in their life, where he should be number 1. And you love your daughter. You love your buggy. I'm just thinking in the 3rd century. Your horse, or you know what I mean, more than you love God. And that's why you're so miserable. And I can say the exact same thing to people today, right? People are so into themselves, it's unbelievable. The number one lover right now is everyone loves themselves too much.
That's what it said in the end times. People would
be lovers of self.
They're cold.
Right? Lovers of self. And the sad thing about that, I'm just freestyling here, but is people don't even know about it. They do not. They think. Aaron, back to this is you. This is how they think this is them. They really think this is them, until some tragedy, until something happens. We're like, bam, that shatters. And they're left with their real self, and they're like, they look at themselves in the mirror and say, who am I? Right? And we need to get to that point of who am I, and work from there. Okay, this is lying. We're lying to ourselves here. This we want
created in Christ Jesus,
right?
to be his workmanship.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna stop there, and we'll continue next week. So we'll talk next week about. We'll finish this next week about a renewed emotional state, a renewed class system. Okay, rewards. Bible speaks about that. Okay, and we're so bashful to even bring that up. But again, the Bible says it. We need to talk about that. A renewed sense of growth, a renewed relationships. We'll talk about marriage in heaven, pets, animals, because the Bible speaks about these things. And last, and the most important thing, is a renewed relationship with God. A perfect divine mentality. Okay, mentality meaning you don't know everything, but your view of God will be perfected, and that is the essence of life before the fall, today, and the new heavens and new earth. Okay.
The thing that I don't like about like our kind of emotions and like envy and like jealousy and all this stuff is like when you talk about rewards in heaven, like it's kind of like, are people gonna be like keeping up with the Joneses? Like,
okay, yeah, now
it's just like it just becomes like this fiasco, like.
But
and then it's gonna be like a game show where it's like, oh, and this person gets
yeah,
a new car,
but you're bringing in a fallen mentality and emotional state into the new earth when it won't be like that. You see what I'm saying? So you're thinking, oh, here we think like that, but there we won't. And what I'm saying is like, remember, glimpses of heaven on earth here, okay? It's possible to have absolutely nothing, to be broke, and to look at someone here on this earth, I'm not talking about the other, and to see your friends or to see people that you know, and you could have been there, and not be envious one bit, but to rejoice with them.
Right.
That's the afterlife, but it's possible here. And if it's possible here, then it's definitely going to happen there. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, sharing with people that
but,
get it.
But to be at that state here, it takes a lot of work. It takes humility. It takes breaking this think what we call ego, pride, right? Cyber envy, and we always compare, right? But what I'm saying is to think that we're going to have these thoughts in the afterlife is not true, okay? So again, the Bible clearly speaks about these things, okay? So I'm sorry we only went through 2 points today, but no, we'll get through them next week. We'll go a little faster, but
You can't, dude. We're talking about heaven.
I know.
Seriously,
I know.
like
We keep interrupting you. What about this?
No.